I recently went long on USDJPY, and in this video, we're going to watch the full trade breakdown from start to finish. Whether I make money or lose money, we'll find out together here on YouTube. Let's dive in. So what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick. I talk all about trading and investing, and in today's video we are going to be doing some more live trading. You guys like the live trading videos, so I'm going to continue to make them. What we're doing here is we're taking a look at USDJPY here on a daily chart, and I'm going to talk about this position that I'm currently in terms of the technical and fundamental analysis that I did prior to taking this position. Now, I am just into this trade yesterday. Unfortunately, today and yesterday are crazy because we are just moving into the new office and things are crazy, but I wasn't able to film yesterday, but fortunately price hasn't moved too far and we can still talk about the trade in terms of an entry. Now, recently we actually had a huge rejection off of this area down there at the 113.55, let's call it, where I took a previous position. Actually, you can see my order there where I took a trade and then closed out for better than break even, just about better than break even previously. But I decided to re-enter yesterday after we came back very close to that same level. And in fact, this is kind of the zone that I was looking at when I took the trade. So what you'll notice is that here on the daily chart, we had a huge area of rejection from the bulls previously. And I decided that, okay, you know, given the context of the current market where I think that the dollar is posed to, continue to strengthen, which we'll talk about from a fundamental perspective in a moment, I do think that the USDJPY has potential to the upside. So I did pick up a position with a stop loss just below the low, and I'm glad that I did because you can actually see price did, in fact, let me see if I can change this to like an intraday view on the 1 hour chart. So here's where I got into the trade. Again, the low being down below, we never really quite saw, but we did see a little bit of pressure come into the trade. So again, this zone holding very nicely as we were looking for. Here's the 1 hour chart view, but really the trade was taken on the 4 hour chart. So you can see on the 4 hour chart, we had nice rejection previously, and now on this same level, so far we're starting to see a little bit of a response from this area, though I was a little bit, late to the trade. My entry wasn't perfect or anything like that. If I was being real stubborn, I could have tried to grab it down in the lows at that previous low for the best possible risk to reward. However, where we currently sit, we're sitting about 60 bucks up on the trade, which is, not very much at all. I think the trade overall, I'm risking about $200, which is nothing crazy. But if price goes against me, my idea here is that if price can break through that level of structure, I'm going to very quickly stop out of my position and just take a quick loss. If it happens, it happens. It happens to me quite frequently in terms of my trading. I take lots of small losses. But what we're looking at in terms of an upside potential is kind of nice here. Price is at a point where we have a longer term level of support combating with a downward trend line sort of counter trend that we've seen recently. So again, the overall context of this trend is to the upside when we look at dollar yen. Things are trending overall very nicely to the upside, and I do expect dollar yen to probably have a strong 2022 if things continue to play out with the Fed as we are kind of expecting here at A1 Trading. So the idea being, this area of support, overall, I'd like it to hold. If not, I'll stop out. If it breaks out of this level, that's where things are going to get potentially interesting. If it does make a move to the upside and we can see some strength come in on this market, then I could probably start actually trailing my stop. Getting things to break even for starters would be great. For me to get a target to, or a stop to break even, what I personally like to see is at least 1-to-1 come into the trade. So what I mean by that is I'm risking 40 pips to the downside. If we were to move about 40 pips in the upside, which we got pretty close, but we didn't quite get there, I would likely go ahead and move this stop loss up to break even and just protect the position there, put things at break even so that, at worst case, I just take a break even trade if I'm not correct about this, as I am looking for this thing to pick up momentum to the upside fairly quickly or stop me out. So there's the technicals for you. Again, overall uptrend on that daily chart, things look pretty clean to the upside. I want to be a part of it. I'm basically fishing here. You can see I took I cast my rod once before. It didn't quite go so well, but on the retest here, decided to try and enter one more time at these levels, as I do think that this is potentially a bargain for the dollar yen. Again, looking for that breakout here on the 4 hour chart. If we can break out of this counter trend, that would be excellent for my position. But if not, if we fail here, I will stop out of the position. Again, we are kind kind of constructing if-then statements as we talk so regularly about on streams and on the channel, positions where if this happens, then I'll do this. If I'm right, this is what I'll do. If I'm wrong, then I will do this, right? So my idea here is if this price fails at this level to hold, then I will stop out here, take my small loss and move on. If price is able to rally, what I'll do is I'll trail stops and maybe even further try and trail stops into profit as price action kind of becomes bullish if it does. Okay, so here's one more thing I want to include. Here's the entry and exit criteria for why I took this trade. I shared it within our private Discord channel, which if you'd like access to is linked down below in the description. So I put out my entry where I got into the trade, risking my 40 pips, etc. But then also, as we just talked about, price pulling back to support, longer term uptrend, etc. As I showed in the picture, which you can see I had some annotations to go with the trade there. Strong support, stop loss below the previous low, higher lows over time, uptrend on the daily chart, etc. And then fundamentally, I like this because risk off sentiment right now seems to be in full swing with stock markets, etc. kind of selling off. But despite overall dollar strength, the yen is also strong, keeping this pair pegged to the lows. That's kind of why we haven't seen this thing rally massively, as the dollar has been strong against other currencies. It's weakened or kind of been stale against the yen. So that's my idea. Still bullish in the dollar overall, looking for the dollar to recover strongly should things kind of bounce back in terms of risk off sentiment, which is sort of my outlook. We'll see how it goes. There's the opening to the trade. What I'll do now is I'll pause the video. Once things get going, I'll give you guys an update. All right, you guys, and I have just officially moved my stop loss there to just a little bit better than break even. I'm currently floating a nice little profit there. I actually just updated members. Let's take a look at this. So I'm floating 49 pips or so on the trade at the moment. Sorry, my cats were making some noises. So anyways, I'm floating 49 pips on the trade. My stop loss has been trailed just above my entry, basically just locking in. Come a long way since where we first initially entered the trade. Actually, we'll take a look at the daily chart just to get an idea of what things look like initially. So you can remember I entered on this candle here. Price popped to the upside and now floating about $240 on the trade. I decided now that we've seen a little bit of momentum to the upside. I was making the point on live stream recently, I would really like to see things kind of break out of this downward structure, and that is in fact what we have seen so far. So now that we've seen that breakout, now is the process where I've taken risk off the table. I've moved my stop to protect my position at break even, and the worst case scenario now is that if price drops all the way back and fails out completely, we'll just take a break even trade. But if price is able to continue moving higher, what I will look to do is probably trail stops more into profit. So we are floating just a little bit better than a 1-to-1 right now. Remember that we initially risked $200 on the trade. And so now the goal here is to see if we can get continued momentum to the upside to the point where we can start trailing that stop loss actually into profit. The next spot that I have in mind for doing this is probably going to be this spot here where we've got some resistance, which also lines up roughly with a 2-to-1 reward to risk. So at that point, I would probably look, my goal right now is probably to move the stop loss up into profit a little bit more. So we'll see if we can get some more profit on the table. With that said, I'll pause and give it some more time here. All right, you guys, dollar yen is chugging here to the upside. A nice little move there, and a continuation move after the recent Fed meeting that we had. We held this position going into the news with the idea of, okay, hawkish outlook from the Fed. Most likely they're going to continue to talk towards rate hikes, which is exactly what we saw and covered in a recent video. I'll pop up the thumbnail in case you want to see that video and go back and look at it. But again, during all of that Fed news, the dollar strengthened dramatically, and our dollar yen position was able to really start rocketing into profit. So you can see back here, the initial entry, a little bit of consolidation, and now really starting to cook with gas here. We're starting to move to the upside, which is awesome. And now I have actually moved my stop loss from the initial spot here or where we had it previously in the last update, where we had things at break even, right? We had the stop loss at break even, and this is kind of why I try and keep my stop loss from moving too quickly when things start to get in my profit, because I don't want to kind of get whipped out of like some slight pullbacks. What I'm looking to do is try and hold on to something until it really pops, and we have actually seen the pop. Check it out on the let's look at the daily chart here for just a moment. This level that we broke out of basically here, that's pretty strong signs to me that we have potential to continue this upward trend, and it does seem like we have caught a pretty strong bottom bounce on the dollar yen, floating $737 here at this time. You know, hindsight, maybe I should close this now. You never know with these live trading videos. It really is something where when you watch these videos, you're getting my reaction in the real time. I don't know if this is going to be a bigger profit, a smaller profit. I'm not exactly sure. That's why I don't try and predict the market. What I try and do is I simply try and react to what the market is doing. So right now we're breaking out. We're seeing huge movement to the upside. We consolidated here, and I really don't want to see price come back down much more than the top of this consolidation zone. We are in a situation where the market has started to pick up a lot of momentum, and I like to try and jump into momentum trades before they happen and out of them as quick as possible, because as soon as this thing decides, you know, hey, the run is over, it could drop like a rock, right? We could come right on back down to our entry point. So I do want to trail that stop. I want to lock in some profit. At this point, I have locked in a $400 in the worst case profit, somewhere around that number. So if, you know, the market does drop like crazy and we get a total reversal, we'll still make $400 on the trade, which is a great scenario. Now, of course, that's not your $740 that we're currently floating, but if the market does continue higher, which is the other case, if things continue to move as we're looking for them to do, we're still bullish on this pair. I don't want to jump out of the trade just because I've seen some profit on the table. I want to try and hold this thing. I want to see if we can get a move back to overall targets where I have at 116.4, which we talked about previously in some videos and in the probably on this one. I'm forgetting which videos I'm saying what, but the main idea is we're still bullish on this thing until further notice, looking for more upside on the dollar yen, going to try and see if we can get that target hit back up to previous top. And of course, we won't take profits there per se, but I will start to aggressively trail my stop loss from there. So I'm keeping some distance here. For us to get stopped out, we're gonna have to see a 70 pip drop back the other direction, which, you know, gives us plenty of room to kind of sit through a little bit of waiting if we have to, right, on the dollar yen, if it just goes sideways for a day or two before hopefully breaking out and continuing our overall bullish perspective. If it doesn't, it's all good. Again, we'll take that profit either way. So we're in a good spot. We're in a win-win, really. So in this case, we can also see, let me just share the update that I gave with members here. So here's the trade update that I just shared. So we entered this trade 3 days ago. I'm currently floating about 155 pips at the time of recording, and I've trailed in 80 pips of the trade into profit. Great spot to be in, locked in 80 pips there on dollar yen, and there's the picture of the trade, which you guys just saw. So what I'll do now, I'll pause the video, give it some more time, and we'll come back once things get moving. It's a new day in the markets, and USD JPY is continuing to climb higher. Not bad for my position here. I am now floating about $862 there, with a stop loss now in place here, just below structure on the 1 hour chart. So I've been kind of trailing this thing a little bit further. So previously we had the stop loss down here. I've gone ahead and locked in a little bit more on the trade. So worst case, I'll still come out of this with a good profit if the market decides to kind of trend lower and break back the other direction. However, where we currently sit, let's back out a little bit. We'll take a look at the 4 hour chart. You can kind of see that loose target that we talked about previously with this level up here, 116.28, let's call it. That's still like my overall goal. Now I say that and I don't have a take profit on that level. My idea is that, you know, I think that dollar yen is probably headed up to that level, if not right away, at some point here soon. Either ways though, I'd like to just lock in some profit here under structure. So basically I marked this area here. Let's go back to the 1 hour chart. I'll just mark this one more time. So basically I just marked this area where we had a lot of, you know, consolidation and then a break to the upside, right? So as this thing broke up, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and trail that stop into a little bit more profit. I don't really want to see this thing come crashing down underneath that level. Otherwise, I'll just bail out of the trade and take my profit. So I'm in a good win-win scenario. Either price decides to continue higher up towards that overall level, but I've also locked in a good amount of the trade, securing a pretty good profit either ways. So Again, we're floating about $870 on this position right now. So we'll see if this thing can hold, but the idea being I really would like to just get this thing to continue higher or stop me out. My goal next would be, if we can get a pop above structure even more, to trail in some stops even further, right? So the next time we get a significant break, what I'm doing is basically these impulsive moves that we see, I'm trying to pull my stop loss behind them, right? So big impulsive move there, secured kind of that stop loss there once we found a bottom, and then now rinse and repeat. Because the truth is, I don't know how far this thing could go. We could come all the way up to these levels and then break out and continue higher. Again, I'm fundamentally bullish on the dollar yen, so I'm looking for more upside, and I'm not going to try and limit my trade just to a take profit. I'm going to try and trail that stop to see if I can get max potential profit on a trade should we start breaking new highs and continuing to trend higher, as things seem very strong right now on dollar yen. So my thought process with it is, why would I take a profit if things are working, right? My idea is I take losses when things aren't working. I don't take profits when things are working. I try and leave my my potential gain on this technically to be infinity, right? Because if this thing continues higher and higher and higher, I'll continue to trail stops and let this thing run, but I do have a limited downside risk if my trade collapses the other way, right? So that's the idea with the trade. What I'll do is I'll pause, give it a little bit more time, and see what dollar yen wants to do here next. All right, guys, and we are all out of the trade there for just about $750 profit between the two accounts that I took this trade on. Not so bad overall. Love the way this thing moved, and I'm kind of happy to be out of this position since it is Friday, and there's always the opportunity to pick it back up next week when the markets reopen. That way I don't have to take on any extra risk from the weekend gaps that could potentially happen on the open. So either ways, happy with this trade. Again, $750 overall in profit on this position. If you'd like to see all the trades that I'm taking and the full breakdowns of why, when they're actually being happened, you can actually get a notification straight to your phone within our private Discord channel. So you can see the trades I'm taking, as well as a couple other of our traders within the A1 trading community. If you're not already in the Discord, the link and information is down below in the description. We'd love to meet you and chat with you within the group, as well as hopefully get you up to speed with your trading. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you back next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching today's video. There are more videos available on our channel here and here, so go ahead and click into that for some more free trading content. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.